Why do we work? I'm not suggesting that man's natural state is one of idleness, though there is a strong biblical suggestion to that effect. I mean, what did Adam and Eve actually do in the Garden of Eden? Well, the answer to the question, why do we work, is we work in order to earn a living. As Lenin said, if you don't work, you won't eat. And that's been a basic principle throughout history. But then we have another puzzle. Why do we work almost as much as we used to, even though we don't need to work as much as we used to in order to be very comfortably off? I'm talking of rich countries, of course, and I'm also talking of averages in rich countries. My son and I have just written a book. He thought that as technology economizes on the use of labor, people would work less for more. And even if we want more goods and services than we did 100 years ago, that's what getting richer means, our capacity to absorb more and more was strictly limited. As at some point we become sated with what we've got, just as a stomach can only absorb a certain amount of food. And at the point of satiation, we will reduce our effort till we give up work altogether, because then machines would be able to do nearly all of it. We would have to do some supervision of the machines. But basically, the machines would produce as much as which we need. And that's what economists of Keynes' generation thought. They said growth would tail off and we'd reach an end state in which people would have enough. Now, so why do most people still work a 40-hour week? Only 10 hours less than they used to in 1930. And even more surprisingly, why, since the 1980s, have hours of work not declined at all, even though, on average, we're twice as rich as we were 30 years ago? That's a very surprising finding. In fact, the hours of work have tended either to stabilize or go up slightly since the 1980s. Now, there are a number of explanations for this. The first we may call the love of work. Work as a vocation and work as a source of identity. Secondly, fear of idleness, which may be fear of drunkenness. What would people do if they had to work a lot less? Third, the way work is organized in our societies doesn't actually allow people to work, most people to work part-time. They don't control the organization of their work. Fourth, this is a point I think all the panelists agree on, the increasingly unequal distribution of income. So median income falls increasingly behind mean income. The new class struggle, as someone wittily called it, is between the have-nots and the have-yachts. And lots of people just don't have enough, so they can't afford to work less. And then the fifth, which economists have often referred to, is a sort of kind of divine restlessness. People get bored with what they have, and they want more and more. Six, there's the relative character wants, which means that people are never satisfied. Someone is always doing better. The grass is always greener on the other side. In other words, insatiability is built into human nature and into social life. We'll never have enough. The idea of how much is enough on this view is a meaningless question. But then you look at some of the social factors behind insatiability. One of them, for example, is advertising. Advertising is the organized creation of dissatisfaction. So we make a god of GDP at the expense of what some call happiness, and there's a big movement now, happiness studies is now taught in schools. Some call well-being, and we in our book call the good life. The good life being which is attested by philosophers and ethicists throughout history and in all places, and the elements of which we define as health, security, friendship, personality, respect, harmony with nature, and leisure. And we end our book with some suggestions as to how we could move the society to that sort of condition and give up our obsession with growth and consumption. And I'll be happy to elaborate on those in the question and answer session if you want me to. Thank you very much.